we're trying to, I feel like so many people are trying to become more than what we actually are. It's kind of like the same with the gender stuff. Like I can bend my gender. I can be a man.
Oh my God. Is she really paralleling going vegan with being transgender? Hey, what's going on, guys? So today we're going to be responding to a friendly debate that Lauren Southern had with this vegan who works with her and that is working with her on her incoming documentary or something like that. We're going to be responding in this kind of format, you know, like kind of like a stream live format, because it's a conversation and there's so many different points to respond to and, you know, just so many points to pause. So let's get right into it.
What you want to eat?
Pretty much. But Johnny has agreed to come on my channel and talk/debate with me about his disorder, which...
Okay, I'll pass you on that one for the sake of getting into it, yeah.
Yeah, not eating animals is a disorder, you know? Just like not eating dogs is a disorder, and not engaging in cannibalism is also a disorder. Let's keep going.
All right, now back to my conversation with Johnny the vegan. We'll start with why. Just why? Why would you do this to yourself?
Well, I can tell you it's not for climate change.
Why would you do this to yourself? Why would you stop funding mass breeding, exploitation and torture and murder? Just why, dude?
It's not because I want people to eat bugs, which is definitely not vegan. It's none of that nonsense. None of this WEF, like we've all got to change for that. It's purely based upon the idea that we shouldn't cause unnecessary harm to animals, just like we shouldn't cause unnecessary harm to people, that if we don't have to kill something or cause them suffering, then we shouldn't do it. So it's coming from a libertarian non-aggression principle.
What if I have to eat bacon?
Can you tell me why you would have to eat bacon?
Because it tastes
Okay, so
good.
yeah, so because it tastes good, right? Like
Have to do something because it tastes really good. In other words, it tastes so good that if you don't consume it, you will die. I'm sure that's what Lauren Southern is dealing with when it comes to bacon.
that is ultimately what the justification for eating meat comes to, is that it tastes good, right? But because something tastes good doesn't justify that you can do harm to another, right? There's many things which are pleasurable to us, right? That you don't just go ahead and do it purely because of your own pleasure. Like you have to take into consideration the effect you're having on the subject.
Well, on a more serious note, I can genuinely say when I eat meat rather than say grains, bread, these kind of things, or even just vegetables, my quality of life drastically improves to the point where my health is completely different. If I eat steak for dinner a week in a row, my energy levels, my quality of life is going to go through the roof compared to if I'm eating.
Have you tried being vegan? Have you tried like eating a vegan diet?
Yeah, I mean, this is obviously just a stupid anecdote to go off of to convince yourself that you need meat to feel the way that she feels after eating steak after 5 days in a row. How about she tries to match her exact micronutrient profile of those 5 days in a row steak dinner a week she has, you know, control for calories, micronutrients, take a supplement and see if she feels any different. Because, you know, I could assure you there's nothing magical in meat that you're getting that you can't get from vegan sources.
No, but I know people who have, and I know people who have had severe health issues because
True,
of it.
and it is possible, right? Like it is.
I know people who have had severe health issues after being vegan. Therefore, I'm suspicious about whether I should go vegan. This is a very odd thing to say because I personally, and I'm sure many people can agree with this if you really think about it, I personally know more non-vegans who are unhealthy than vegans. But this isn't going to lead me to the conclusion that a vegan diet is a non-vegan diet is inherently unhealthy, or I should be more suspicious of it. You know what I mean? Like, just because someone does a non-vegan diet inappropriately doesn't mean that you can't be healthy on a non-vegan diet. This applies to a vegan diet as well. So yeah, I don't know why people use this reason as if it doesn't apply even more so in the case of non-vegan diets, but you know, whatever, let's keep going.
Possible to have a vegan diet and to be unhealthy. Like there's no guarantee you're going to be healthy. Like, but if you eat a well-planned vegan diet and you're getting all of your nutrients from, you know, various fruits and vegetables and you're eating a balanced diet, like, and you're getting enough calories, that's another big thing. Is like a lot of people, they go vegan and they think, oh, I can just eat exactly the same amount of portion sizes, but I'm just swapping the meat for plants. Well, they're less calorie dense, so you've got to eat more of them. So you have to increase somewhat the amount you eat. You know, it's not like crazy. It's not like 3 or 4 times the amount, but you've got to eat more food to get the same intake. And if you do it in a well-planned way that you're getting your variety of nutrients, then you can absolutely be vegan. And like for most people, it doesn't take that long. Like a very basic amount of like research is gonna get you there.
I think you can only be vegan, like beyond all of the arguments about non-aggression principle, all of the politics around it, like the genuine reality of being vegan, I think is only something that can happen for first world privileged people. The amount of...
Not true. There are plenty of people looking to Soy Theist, maybe you're watching. He's a content creator who does not live in the first world, who is vegan very easily. So that's not necessarily true.
nutrients that people need to get from vegetables and the amount of variety they have to have and all of these things, like the food that keeps people alive, particularly in third world countries and places where it can be really hard to find nutrient rich vegetables, this kind of stuff, it's going to be meat. Meat is going to be the primary thing.
No, it's going to be plant foods because they can't even afford loads of meat.
Giving them, the protein they need to live.
Well, it really depends, right? So like, I would agree with you in some certain areas. So like
the protein they need to live. I mean, yeah, protein is, we do need it, but you can get it from plants. Crazy concept.
If you are like a Eskimo or something like that, like
99% of their diet is meat. They literally can't grow
because
vegetables.
they can't grow plant. And actually, like a lot of people who live in those communities anyway, they fly in their food anyway. So there's actually very few people who even live in those kind of places that are purely just ice fishing for everything. Like a lot of them do rely upon, very modernized like transit routes and stuff. And with a lot of places like Africa.
These conversations about like other people's scenarios, I don't know why. I know they're just having a friendly conversation and, like, why are you vegan? But the meat eater, I mean, at least from what I've seen, they tend to just always bring up these other places and conditions in which it's harder to be vegan. Like, I don't know, man, if I was this dude, I would, just in a friendly manner, because, they're friends or whatever, ask her why she's not, like, we don't need to talk about these other people. You know what I mean? It's obviously unreasonable to ask somebody to go vegan who doesn't even have the capacity to go vegan if they're surrounded by no crops or something. That's not to say that it's then justified to kill when it's a need. I've covered that on my channel many times before and why it's not necessarily the case all the time. But yeah, I don't know. These conversations about other people, like, especially when you're Lauren Southern and you have so much money and privilege and you can just easily do this. I don't know. Why are we talking about people that are not privileged enough to do it?
Like a lot of these countries, they actually have very, very predominantly plant-based diets. Partly because it's a poverty thing. Like as you have more money, more disposable income, generally we see societies eat more meat. But a lot of them have it culturally as well. They eat plants. Places like Ethiopia, they have very predominantly vegan diets naturally, and like it can be a cultural thing.
Ethiopia's doing great.
Well, yeah, I mean, of course you have with some of these places. Of course, you have like high rates of malnutrition, but you have high rates of malnutrition in places because they have low amounts of money. They can't actually.
Yeah, exactly.
Get enough food. They can't get enough calories. There's nothing to say that you can, like vegans as a general like set of the population, like do very, very well. They score normally very, very high up, if not the best in terms of their health, their overall health. So,
yeah, if you check out the 7-Day Adventist vegetarians, one of the subsets of the vegetarians were vegan, and they had some of the best health outcomes throughout the entire community. So yeah, of course, when it's done properly and in an area where you have the means to do it properly, the outcomes are going to be good.
It's not.
It doesn't depend on the person. Like you look at someone like a Michaela Peterson, who literally she's like, I had severe health issues and depression until I started eating a meat-only diet.
Yeah, I mean, you get a lot of kind of stories that are on a kind of an individual basis. People say, oh well, I had meat and it turned around my diet, but like it's not borne out in the actual data as to like why that would make a difference. There's nothing that you're getting from saying, okay, I'm only eating meat. There's nothing you can't get there from plants as well.
But if you personally are finding that your like ability to live is so hindered by not eating meat, is that would that within your framework of the non-aggression principle allow someone to go and start eating meat?
I mean, it depends how far you go. Like if you
This question's odd because there's different ways you can view the question. You can have the view that just because you're sick and all that, and you may like need a particular thing, that it's not necessarily justified for you to still go and kill others for that thing. But possibly it's more understandable why you would do it, or you're not as culpable. If someone had an illness where they required human flesh to thrive and feel good, like would we be like, okay, screw the non-aggression principle. You have the right to go kill whoever you would like for their flesh. Now I know I'm bringing up humans, and for the meat eaters watching, you're probably going to be like, we're talking about animals. The only reason I'm bringing that up is because it's not always so clear that just because you need something, it justifies taking it from someone else. Now, if someone has a need for animal products, or they need it to even feel like, 100% or 80, 100%, it's understandable why they would, but whether or not it's justified for them to kill another being for their flesh, that's a tough question. I mean, really, because if you're going to say that it's justified to do that, then you just say, okay, we have a person who is justified in killing a pig for their flesh because they need animal protein to feel maybe 100% as opposed to like 70 or 80%. But then if that's justified, would we accept this in the case of humans, right? And if you're going to say no in that case, if someone needed human flesh to feel 100%, why would you call that wrong, but not in the animal case? Right? And presumably, right, there's going to be a difference between the two that's justifying the differential treatment. So in this case of pigs, it's okay to kill a pig if you need to kill a pig to feel 100%, or, eat a pig to feel 100%. But with humans, you're not allowed to do this. So what is the morally relevant difference? Is it intelligence? Is it pigs aren't as smart as humans? It's okay to kill them for food when we need to kill them for food to feel 100%. But then with humans, it's not, because they have this like level of intelligence. If that's the case, then what about killing certain disabled people who have lower intelligence than pigs, who have flesh that someone needs to feel 100% as opposed to 80%? Would that be justified? I mean, these are not easy questions to answer, right? So yeah, let's just keep going and see what's said here.
If you had a person who couldn't physically have a level of like health that is sustainable from eating a vegan diet, and that they're literally getting like progressively less healthy, of course, like I would say that person is justified in eating meat. But I think that, I don't know if that person exists, and if they do, it's going to be an extremely small amount of people. For most people, like with a well-planned vegan diet, you can be like perfectly healthy, and there's no reason, there's nothing you're going to.
Yeah, whoever these people are, I've never really heard of them. That they'll like die if they don't consume animal flesh.
Need or that you require from game.
How do you feel about animals that are carnivores?
Well, they're totally justifying being carnivores, because like they have to do that to survive, right? So just like the point that you just made there, like for a carnivorous animal like a lion or something that has to eat meat, it can't go and eat plants. Like of course it's justified in killing other animals. That isn't actually the case for humans, right? Because
so the problem that I would have with this argument, I kind of see where you're going. So you'll allow some people to kill other creatures to live if they have to. And then others, if you're like omnivore, you can make eating vegetables and whatnot an option, then you have to pick that because we want to reduce harm. But I think that have to is where the question is, because you could probably put a cat or a dog on a vegan diet, but they're not going to be very happy. You could probably keep them alive, but their quality of life is going to be pretty damn low, right?
Well, I mean, a cat, like that's an interesting question. So like I've looked into this specifically, and like I would not recommend anyone puts a cat on a vegan diet. I'm pretty sure cats are obligate kind of.
The thing with pets is that they require particular nutrients. So there's, for example, there is evidence to suggest that vegan dogs and cats can work. I'll put that on the screen right now. But yeah, there's cat food that is fortified with things that cats need because they're carnivores. So for example, things like taurine, B12, I believe vitamin D, arachidonic acid. So yeah, because of human technology, although it's not natural, there are ways to feed a cat a vegan diet. And then dogs, because they're omnivorous, they can easily. But yeah, so let's just keep going.
Carnivores, and if you try to put on a vegan diet, like they're going to have like health issues. They're probably going to die. Like with dogs, you can actually feed dogs a vegan diet. Like there's plenty of like vegan dog foods out there. Dogs can do perfectly fine on it. Obviously whether they like it, whether they prefer meat, it's unlikely you're going to get a dog that's going to for instance, love it so much that if you put a piece of steak in front of them, they're like, oh no, I'm happy with the plants. Like you're not going to turn it like ideologically vegan, but you could keep a dog totally healthy on a vegan diet. And it's been done. Like most vegans, if they've got dogs, will have them vegan. If they've got cats, will not have them vegan, because cats are obligate carnivores.
Mm-hmm. I don't know, man. I feel like since the dawn of time, humans have been partaking in this natural cycle with animals of hunting, eating, killing. I agree that
I feel like since the dawn of time, humans have been in this natural cycle of killing each other and raping each other. And I just feel like we should be continuing to allow that because it's been happening for a long time. And it's because it's natural. I mean, come on, Lauren, if you're watching this, please, not to be rude, but the appeal to nature fallacy and the appeal to tradition fallacy, us vegans have heard it seemingly an infinite amount of times. Obviously, just because something's been happening for a long time or it's natural doesn't mean we should continue to do it. This applies to humans raping each other. This applies to humans killing and eating animals. Why would that justify killing and eating animals, but not us killing each other and raping each other?
that like factory farming, I think, is not natural. Yeah, it's horrible. The way that we're treating animals. I will always, this is something I can attest to.
Okay. Yeah. Factory farming is obviously unethical. And she's saying that it's unnatural. And yeah, it is not natural, but neither is the animal product she's probably going to bring up now, which are the product of artificial selection, artificial insemination. So neither are natural. If you care about eating what's natural, I don't know what you're going to eat, because like practically all of our food has been genetically modified.
Always buy free range eggs. I don't want to eat some depressed ass chicken eggs, you know? I don't want to be eating.
Yeah, that's not natural though.
Depressed meat either.
Yeah.
If I could just have happy, healthy animals that we hunted in our own community, you know, good shot, they don't suffer, they get to live a full life, I think that is ideal. But I still do think the idea of eating meat and having that a part of our diet has been something humans have done since the dawn of time. And we have developed to do that. Our teeth, our bodies, our bones, all of this has developed.
Just natural fallacy, nature fallacy, let's go.
For hunting to be part of this natural cycle. And to change that because of this non-aggression principle that no other creature within the natural cycle adheres to, I think is...
No other creature has stopped forced mating or raping. So I guess we shouldn't do the same. Why would we base our morality on the behavior of non-moral agents such as non-human animals? A little outrageous, don't you think? I mean, fuck, come on.
It's odd, and it's like...
What's odd is that you're appealing to the behavior of non-moral agents to justify continuing to kill. That's odd.
We're trying to, I feel like so many people are trying to become more than what we actually are. It's kind of like the same with the gender stuff. Like I can bend my gender. I can be a man.
Oh my God. Is she really paralleling going vegan with being transgender? I mean, we can say something like being vegan is unnatural because it requires the use of an artificial supplement such as B12, and maybe being transgender isn't natural when you start to inject yourself with artificial hormones. But in either case, we have to talk about like if there's rights violations occurring here, or if there's like really, really negative health outcomes. And in the case of the vegan case or whatever, or going vegan, yeah, let's acknowledge that being vegan isn't necessarily a natural thing. It requires a B12 supplement, which isn't natural. Who cares? It yields positive health outcomes. Who cares if what you're doing is not natural? Look where you are. You're sitting here. You have highlights in your hair. You're in a house. You're doing the most unnatural thing possible right now. Why does this matter with diet? You know what I mean? If we can find an unnatural diet that yields positive health outcomes, such as the vegan diet, then clearly we have evidence to suggest that just because something is unnatural doesn't mean it's unhealthy for you. In this case, being the vegan diet.
Man, I can be a woman. I can be beyond what humans are naturally.
The difference is with that kind of stuff, right? Is that like if you try to not be your gender, you have to have some kind of physical intervention to do it. Like you're chopping off your genitals, or you're having like breasts implanted, or you're taking hormones.
Veganism a physical
why?
change
What change are you actually doing?
If I don't eat meat, my whole body changes. My whole mood. I literally have lower energy.
But you just said that you'd never tried a vegan diet, so like how do you know?
No, but I'm saying when I reduce my meat intake, when I eat more steak.
Sure, but this
she's possibly just reducing her overall calorie intake when she reduces her meat intake, which makes her feel shittier. Like, again, she has never done an experiment in which she has controlled for all the calories and micronutrients and macronutrients she's had during her 5-day steak dinner a week where she is feeling the best. Take all those macros and micronutrients and obtain them through vegan means and see if you feel any different. That's what you need to do. You can't just go off of like, oh, when I don't eat meat, I guarantee you she hasn't determined if her calories were also lower on those days, or her protein was lower on those days. So, yeah.
Dude.
Fuck off, I don't want anything to do with you. Don't ever speak to me again. You're a fucking piece of shit.
Even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who's your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude,